Hey guys, it's been a while since I've posted, and it's for good reason. I've been pretty busy with a lot of things, and just to keep you up with some updates. I finished up this Eric site, and in order to post it on my portfolio and avoid like any conflict, I definitely want to change most of these assets into like stock images and like change the name and like the logo and everything, just so that we don't run into any issues moving forward. And aside from that, I've been trying to figure out like my niche and like what kind of like industry I want to go into. And I'm still thinking about interior design, but I'm not entirely sure. And I've done like a few like designs, like redesigns. I'm inspired by all these websites, and now that I have a better idea of like the vibe that most of those websites have, I'm making my own hypothetical website, and I've played around with some mood boards and even included an animation mood board, and I'm trying this color scheme that I really like that's like really minimal, and it's like based off a keyboard and like some paper. And I initially had some ideas of like making it paper, but after testing out some of the layouts, I didn't really vibe with it too much. So in order for like this clean, sophisticated, minimalistic look that a lot of interior design studios and architecture studios have, I decided to stray away from that theme, but it was nice to do some initial exploring. And right now, I'm trying to incorporate like one to three hero sections, just because I think it might be a little easier in terms of rapidly going coming up with ideas, and then from there narrowing it down to two pages. So then from there, I can combine the two elements and then build out the rest of the site based off of the current sitemap that we have here. And yeah, so that's most of like the work that I've been doing. And in terms of updates, I actually got this idea talking with a Webflow developer slash creative developer, Ilya Van. I'm probably pronouncing their name wrong, but Ilya Van Eck. He's been a great inspiration towards me in terms of the way he designs, the way he develops, the way he plans out his interactions. And I was just like picking out his brain of like how he comes up with interactions that really fit his sites well. And he gave me a lot of great pointers, and his portfolio is great. I love it a lot. And I just love most of the work that he does, or if not all the work that he does. But basically, we just talked about um, taking animations and going off of other sites, taking bits and pieces by it, and then experimenting what else could be done with those animations. And I guess the thing that I learned that impacted me the most was definitely the experimenting past like a tutorial animation, or messing around with the animation that I saw after dissecting it, kind of thing, and just not being afraid to get into code and really get into the experimental grounds where I'm like, okay, I'm not even sure if this works, but you never know. Sometimes you could end up with something you really like, and that's what I'm trying to do with this mock studio site, which I'm really excited to put out. But I'm still trying to figure out a few minute details for the most part, and then I'm also planning out, since I'm thinking about 3D assets and I've been seeing them a lot more, and it's something that I want to do. And instead of, I'm just going off this site for now for um, the 3D elements and pixel usage that they use is very minimal, and it really spoke to me. And so, not that I want to copy the whole thing, it's just more so of I'm trying to first take the layout, and I know that this layout is good, obviously, because it's this website's won awards, and my goal is to create immersive experiences that could maybe one day end up to be award winning. And so I'm playing around with a lot of the elements that are like around this mood board and trying to see what kind of layout that I can make and what kind of experience I can design, because it opened my eyes to a lot of um, other animations that I didn't really think were possible. And I'm already forgetting the site's name, Numo Agency. And see, there's like some like elements of pixels, but like it's not centered around, and there's still this separation between business branding and personal branding, which I love, and it's something that I've learned after looking through my portfolio personally. And like you can see these like pixel elements through like this arrow right here, and like these 3D elements, 3D pixel elements, and I thought that was super cool to look at, and it inspired me to dive more into a lot of custom code, because I was like, I want to be able to create like these 3D animations and really go into the interactive storytelling to create that immersive experience. And maybe whether or not I migrate off of Webflow in the future because I want to hard code my sites, but I think there is potential to implement this kind of stuff in Webflow, and given some time, maybe it'll be more optimized. Because like, I guess Spline, for my experience, if you were to use it for more than one scene on a website, or if you, this is probably fixed now, but when it first came out, I tried doing it on mobile and it was really hard to get it responsive, yet alone like perform at like the standard level of like 60 frames per second, where it's really choppy, and it's probably a little better now. I'm not sure, I haven't really checked that out, but having that issue made me want to go into Three.js, because I was just so immersed with a lot of the projects that I saw here. And one of them that stuck out to me was, let me try to find it, was this website by David. He's a creative developer. It was super simple, super clean, and it was just, the experience felt very getting to know David, and it was sick. And I do want to go more into pushing myself, and that's why I'm looking at other websites that I wouldn't be usually comfortable with when it comes to inspo, and really trying to understand like how these are built, what kind of code is going through and such, and if ORs would load, that'd be great. And these two sites have been really great for understanding what's possible within like Webflow plus custom code, because I always felt that Webflow sites are great, but in the end, like, custom code really completes it. And I am more encouraged to learn more hard code because of the control that's there, but also knowing both design, development, no code, like knowing all those things, I wouldn't say it's a waste of time at all. I think it would be a pretty cohesive tech stack to where I could eventually maybe create more simple sites on Webflow and not feel limited when it comes to creating e-commerce sites, or being able to create basically whatever I want, really. But maybe with time, Webflow will get there, and I still plan on using it primarily for sites, but it doesn't stop me from learning about more about code. And I've been diving into different frameworks, trying to see what works best for me, and there is a steep learning curve to this one framework that I was introduced to by one of my friends, Nine. And I love that it's all utilized on the web, and that when it loads, you have not the staggered loading, but this cohesive loading. So I feel like it's a more performance based thing. And sometimes on Webflow, sites can get a little choppy with Webflow interactions all over the place, or like too much custom code. Like, who knows? I just want to keep most of my options open, and all in all, I just want to create like these custom immersive experiences that I can imagine, and then just like put it out there and not feel like I can't do it, kind of thing. And with that being said, I've been inspired to learn 3JS, and my donut's kind of going crazy, but that's because I left it on for a really long time. And it's been really fun going off of Bruno Simon's course of just learning the basics, and like the way I've been trying to approach it is like, I guess, how would I describe it? It would be a one day I would go into a video, and then the day after I would try to do it myself while referring to like the documents from the video, and not like him having himself like walk me through most of this, because I get the general idea of like what I want to do. So for this rotating shape, I first need to, if I were to start this project from scratch, I would have to go into install this in a folder, this npm init-y, and then delete the test scripts here, and then having the, what do you call it, installing Vite through npm install in the terminal of my VS Code, and then going into establishing the dev Vite and build the Vite build, and then installing the 3 dependency. And then from there, I would establish a canvas so that I have my scene, and then going into the JavaScript, establishing the canvas size and the renderer size, and then creating an object. So this donut, which is created through establishing a geometry, establishing a material, and establishing a mesh. And then even before that, my bad, I forgot to talk about the most important thing, is selecting the HTML canvas element, and then establishing a new scene, and then adding these meshes to the scene, and then adding a camera to the scene after establishing that. And then if we don't see the object, we have to play around with the Z index depending on how big our object actually is. And then recently I've gotten into animations outside of like GSAP, like 3D animations, and it's taken me back to my engineering days where like I haven't heard of terms like delta time or like sine and cosine in animations. Like it's usually just like, oh yeah, here's the ease, here's the X position, Y position, Z position, opacity, or whatever the case may be. But this adds a bit of nostalgia, even though I transitioned away from engineering. But all in all, I still love engineering for, being a problem solver. And in this case, I have a problem of not creating the immersive experiences that I want to create. And what I'm doing about the problem is doing this. So back to explaining this code really quick. So yeah, basically, after establishing the camera and the mesh, we have to establish a tick function. And basically what this is saying is that when because the animation will happen per frame, which is what this command is doing. And the reason we have this clock, and this can be done in a numerous amount of ways, like you can just do like current time and then have delta time be delta time would be like current time in this function minus the time outside of the function, so you have like that time between, and then you would have to set the time in here to be equal again, and then when it hits the next frame, then it like gets the difference in time from the previous frame to the next frame. So then it'll always spin at a rate. But I am running into this issue where it's like if I leave this long enough, then the donut just spins at like infinity, and I'm assuming that's because as time goes on, then it just gets greater and greater and greater, and then this will spin faster and faster and faster, and you can probably see it there. But yeah, and then we basically relate this to a math function and then multiply it by the aspect of time to keep it at its 60 FPS like window. So yeah, that's been really fun, and that's basically what I've been up to for the past um, maybe 2.5 weeks. And I will be posting regularly. Um, Aside from that, uh, other update that I forgot is I had my first discovery call through a friend that referred me to a why can't I think right now? I'm drawing a blank because it was so much yesterday. Um, yeah, it was a friend who referred me to one of his friends who was looking for a Webflow developer. And the discovery call, I got like super nervous and I was freaking out because I was like, oh my god, I haven't really like done this, and like it would be like the biggest like scale that I would the biggest scale in terms of like a website that I would work on. I mean, my other project that I did for that mock AI company is pretty similar, but it was just wild for me to like go through this, and this is like most of what I was working towards in terms of my goal of like, just getting a discovery call and like going through and like really finding out about the business, about the brand, about the business owner and their goals, and then trying to see like if we're both a good fit for each other. And like during the call, it was really fun. I actually had a blast talking to this person and didn't really feel that nervous anymore, but like after the call, it just felt so surreal writing a proposal for more than $1,000, and I was just like, oh Jesus, am I allowed to charge this much? But I have been using Webflow for about a year and a half. I've been designing websites for about 2 years, and I think that my work is at a level where I can charge that much, and I can be confident in myself in terms of how much I could charge for a website, and like how I value my work and my time, and giving that to other people, and like being okay with that. And even though it's still on the fence of whether or not I close, it was still a great opportunity to have the discovery call and then have um, people help me write a proposal, because I wasn't really sure how to structure it, and I'm horrible with words. But I had like a hour and a half long conversation with a designer based in Toronto. His name's Yusuf, and he saved me so much, and he also gave me a lot of ideas for like um, what to include in the proposal after giving me a template that I could use and start out with. And then he also gave me tips as like a person who's aspiring to start a like studio or agency. And I really enjoy talking to him, and he was great. I think we get along pretty well, and it's like those kinds of connections also that I had a goal for at the beginning of the year, is less empty connections and more quality connections. And I feel like that with my involvement in like a few of these communities, I'm meeting some great people that I regularly talk to. Like Nine, for example, I met him a month ago, and we still talk pretty much every day. And Lamine, like, I go back and forth with him about content and just like you know establishing my goals and putting out content daily, or like at least striving to, and just trying to push myself to be the best version that I can of myself. And yeah, it's been a hectic 2 weeks, and I'm pretty proud of where I am now, regardless of what I said earlier of like, if it closes, it closes. If it doesn't, we just move on to the next thing, and we just keep working and keep sharing our journey, or well, at least my journey. So I also started a TikTok, and I basically just go over some projects that I do, and I'll be posting stuff on there daily as well. along with YouTube Shorts again, because I wasn't really sure on what to post. But now that I have like some um, a new goal in terms of like the design work I want to output and the dev work I want to put out in terms of this new site that I'm working on, and the 3JS journey, and just my dev journey in general, because after finishing the Eric site, I learned a lot about GSAP and um, custom code and APIs. It was great. And I was able to teach one of my other friends, Malachi, about GSAP. So if it felt really nice that I was able to help someone and in a subject that I just learned about. So it makes me feel like the work that I've been putting into learning and working has been ecstatic. But it's, yeah, back to what I said. It's been a hectic 2 weeks, and yeah, I started a TikTok, and my little mascot Mushi will be my saving grace as I post about my self-taught web design and web dev journey. And um, I guess the last point that I have is, I think a thing that I was struggling with was this path of, do I want to focus on design or do I want to focus on dev more? And I really like both, but I find that design is a lot harder to sell because I don't think people see the value in that. And things that may change, of course, but I still believe that, like, if I was just purely a designer, I wouldn't be as good as I am compared to like learning dev, because I'm able to understand like how to structure these designs in like a box model, and then dissecting those designs and pushing it out to the web and putting out a physical product. So yeah, that's still a thing. And like with dev, it's like I have more control over like what happens with my design in terms of interactivity and um, I guess mainly interactivity and like structuring like on the web, and then even responsiveness, like going through like my desktop, my um, tablet, mobile portrait, and mobile landscape. I said that backwards, but breakpoints. So there's a lot to consider, and I think I am leaning more towards the dev side, but it doesn't mean I'll stop designing. But it was just a little like um, mental struggle that I was having of like making that decision, and I don't think it needs to happen right now, because as my friends Milton and Solomon, most of these people that I'm referencing are from this awesome Slack group, by the way. But yeah, Milton and Solomon talked with me, and it's like, just have this sword. You have a sword shop, and you want to be making money through making swords, but you can learn all the other stuff once you have something that's selling. And once you have something that's selling, then it's like it enables you to explore other things too, and like learn more about for in my case dev, or even maybe going into more design stuff. But for now, I am doing the dev stuff on the side, and 3JS is something I just currently enjoy, so I love doing it every day. And but that shouldn't deter me from my usual monthly practice of making a website and like trying to time myself and like do it as fast as I can, or just in a timely manner to where I can get a client, make this awesome website, and then boom, go to the next one. And obviously it's not like that. I wish it was, um but yeah, there was a lot to say in that video, and if you watch the whole thing, I appreciate it. It's been very sporadic. My brain's just all over the place. And it's more of like a reflective video on like where I am at the start of the channel, or where I was at the start of the channel, and like where I am now. So for those of you who have stuck around, I'm really glad to have had you come along through this journey. So we'll see you in next week, next I'll probably start uploading again consistently on like Sunday to Wednesday range, because I've it's been a little hectic since Mondays and Wednesdays, sometimes even Sundays get really busy. So it'll vary, but the videos will be coming out consistently in like the middle of the week. So yeah, have a good one. Later. I'll see you guys next time. Mushi.